Hello and a very warm welcome to this training session brought to you as part of the Google News Initiative, the Digital Growth Program. My name is Seamus, your coach today. Hopefully you're all settled in, ready to get our teeth into our topic today. As you can see there, reader revenue models as part of the Google News Initiative. Just in case this is your first time with us on one of these lessons, we want to just point out that the aim of this training is really to take an in-depth look at the methods that newspapers, magazines, online sites are using to successfully become online publishers. That's the aim today. Every lesson covers a different element that any news business must take notice of. From things to be done before launch to shaping the value proposition, for example, pricing, acquisition, the churn. We'll find out more about the churn rate as well later. Every lesson, we break it down into three key topics. We ask, so what? Why does this matter? A focus, three focus areas, and then what now? The steps to take going forward. So the aim really is to give you clear, actionable instructions to help you and your news publication become a commercial success online. That's the key. Success is the key word, isn't it? Actually, before we start, let's just take a bird's eye view of where this course sits in the suite of lessons offered as part of this digital growth program. So as you can see there, this is the first lesson as part of the reader revenue section. Coming up in about an hour or so, assessing the opportunity as well as one of the topics. Then after that, you'll have other lessons, optimize your user funnel. We talk a lot about funnels at the moment in these areas, and also alternative income streams. You can see there just before this section, we had advertising revenue. There was also data management. You can see there, audience development and business strategy. So some of you may have already taken part in some of those lessons. Some of you, it may be the first day. Maybe you'll stay with us also this morning for the other topics. But that's just to show you where this fits in to the overall suite of lessons. So getting the most out of this training, that's a great point to make right up front. And we do want to say that we want to help show you the variety of options really available to you. However, it's really important for us to say right up front that these are just options. And as we know too well, the world of digital publishing online complex. Each and every business has different challenges, a different audience, a varying amount of resources available as well. So we're going to show you case studies, action plans, further resources. But all of these really just suggestions. Whatever action, whatever next steps you decide to take really are going to be different based on your needs, your experience, and your aims. I should also point out we have the lovely Louise as our moderator today in the forum and the chat. So do feel free to reach out to Louise with any comments, any questions. Maybe for starters, you can say hello to Louise to say where you're from, maybe your publication. It'll be great to interact with you. And actually, as I say, we have two lessons programmed for this morning. Then after that, we have a round table as well. So do try to stay for that. That's a chance to interact with us. Hopefully, you're signed up for that. So one of the first questions we ask as part of this session, why does all of this matter? And, you know, there is a new subscription economy in place. We're talking about this a lot, where people will pay for services on a monthly basis. So why can't news be one of them? In this section, we're going to look at the opportunities and also the tools that you'll need to tap into the subscription economy. Buzzwords, tongue twisters as well sometimes. So let's jump straight into all of this. Let's just look at the focus areas for our lesson today. So as you can see there, reader revenue options. What are the options available to you? We'll also take a look at paywall. So the paywall options, we're talking a lot about that at the moment. Lots of different ideas coming through, depending on the publications, depending on the media. And also very important for us is communicating your why. So as you're trying to connect with the reader, really putting forward the importance of your message, making sure that you get that right. Very important as we talk about readerships at the moment. So let's jump straight into it. Our first topic, reader revenue options. As I said, this is very important. And what does this mean? We're going to begin by defining the different reader revenue models, mostly between subscriptions and contributions, but also, as you can see there, we have memberships mentioned as well. So for us, subscriptions are where a news organization provides free access to a limited amount of articles, and also this requires a financial payment for full access to the content. So most of us will have seen this on different sites. This may not be new for a lot of you. Contributions, this is where the reader revenue model, where you'll have a news organization encouraging readers to contribute, as you can see there, or donate to the news organization. No restriction on the core content to any reader. Maybe just some of the content restricted, but the basic game here with a contribution is that everything remains open. And then, of course, we have memberships, where news organizations are offering members or contributors what we call value-added benefits to increase the value of becoming a member or a subscriber, as you can see there. And these can be offered across both subscriptions and contributions as well. And you can see there on the middle, great question to start with. Do I want to restrict content? A simple yes, then it's subscriptions, and if it's no, then it's normally contributions. And then not forgetting membership as well, very important. So the secret of successful reader revenue, making readers understand why you are relevant to them, to their everyday news consumption. For those news organizations committed to making reader revenue work, at the heart of the success is recognizing that really you play an essential role in the communities that you serve. So ensuring that communities everywhere have the quality information they need to navigate in this increasingly interconnected and complex world that we've talked about, really an essential role. And so, perhaps you can lean into that. Exploring ways to become more essential and vital to your readers. So as you can see there on the screen, priority for the readers, impact on your community, recognizing your value, making sure that the readers understand where your values lie for that connection. Identifying any gaps there may be. So, working out where you could do better in terms of that connection with the readership, and then connecting with your values. So for me, it's really demonstrating that you really do believe in those values, that you share those values with your readership. And then it's about this deep understanding of the reader's information needs. So that's going to mostly require data and insights. We'll look at that. And then, is this an experience that readers are willing to pay for? Don't forget, they're reaching for their credit cards, and that's what you're hoping they're going to do as they look at your sites. So prioritizing these key factors also brings in reader revenue. That's according to successful publishers. And so what are those key factors to building a successful reader revenue model? Well, from Google conversations with publishers, and they have lots of those, successful reader revenue models, when we ask this question, a few priorities that we consistently hear as being central to the success of the reader revenue business. So you can see there, number one, a deep understanding of readers' information needs. So as with any effort that requires building strong relationships, the reader revenue journey begins with this deep understanding of what they actually need. So what are they actually wanting to look at when they come to your site? Number two, just you can see the full list there, but number two, a commitment to build your product around your readers' needs. Communicate your value proposition to the right audience segments at the right time and place, and that's very important. So really having your finger on the pulse, making sure that it's in real time often as well. Make it easy for your readers to subscribe or to become a member. Reinforce your reader relationship in smart ways to retain them. So we talk a lot about retention rates. Also, the cultural commitment across the entire organization, making sure that it's not just a couple of people at the top of the organization, but every single staff member shares this goal when it comes to connecting with the reader. Because also, it's worth pointing out, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. So it's also about experimenting. And we're going to take a closer look at that later on the lesson, how we can experiment to make sure that we're considering all of the options and seeing what works. So quality journalism plus extra benefits that readers value, this is going to normally equal an experience that readers will pay for. This is what a lot of publishers are saying at the moment. So this lies at the heart of a successful reader revenue strategy, according to a lot of the experts and publishers as well. So at the foundation of this, ways to improve your content in a reader revenue context, we're going to possibly bring metrics into the newsroom to make sure that we have that data, we have that valuable look at insights to make sure that we understand what's going on. Shifting your orientation from quantity to quality. We talk about that a lot, don't we, in so many areas of life? Well, it's true for us as well, no doubt. Beginning with really providing quality journalism and those benefits aligned with your readers' needs and expectations. We also talk a lot now about the content wheel, so making use of the content wheel, so making sure that if you do one article, that you're really squeezing as much juice as you can out of that. Think of it as a lemon, hopefully a nice peach. So you have that article, and then you're maybe putting up a video as well. Maybe you're doing a podcast. You're doing different versions of that article. You have experts talking about it, bulletin points as well to accompany those articles. So this is the content wheel, getting the most out of your reporting, those resources that you've spent, and at the same time meeting reader needs, because they want things to be dynamic now, don't they? So publishers, what's in it for you? Subscriptions are going to help build a strong commercial base. That's the hope. And if you can succeed in retaining your subscribers year over year, base revenue rapidly beginning to grow. That's the overall aim, allowing you to invest in more content and to drive further engagement. And we'll take a look at the metrics you might look at as well. So subscriptions also allowing site and app owners to move away from advertising. That's also one of the key points here, isn't it, as we try to look for new revenue models. So contributions offering you and your audience flexibility. That's what we talk about. They can be one-off or made as subscriptions. Why then build a membership base unless there's, a strong and loyal connection between you and your reader? So as you can see there, we have the same question as well, central to this: do I want to restrict content? And that's a question you're going to have to ask within your organization. Different for everybody. Everybody has different beliefs, different views on that. So choosing between subscriptions and contributions, largely really determined by how far you're dependent on ad revenue. So also by how you wish to be seen by the readers, by the public, and by any existing print products that you might have. So really it's making sure that everything matches up just in terms of the traditional products, and then when you're looking at your online portfolio, if you like. So some questions and considerations that publishers need to take into account, according to lots of people we talk to, when deciding between a subscription or a contribution model. Dependence on ads. How important is advertising revenue to your current business model? And of course, you're going to want to take that into account. You're not going to want to chop that out of the equation straight away. How important is it to the long-term success of your news organization in terms of advertising? We also talk about the alignment between the value proposition and the model. So what are you offering in terms of your value, your cultural value side of things as well, and then the model that you choose? How is that aligning? And also, we talked there about the publishers having these expectations of their conversion rates. So the answer to all of this may have an impact on whether you're going to go for subscriptions or contributions as the model to go for. As I say, that's going to depend on your organization, but it's a discussion that you're probably going to want to have with everybody involved. Both models could accommodate a membership program as well, and here are some ideas for value-added benefits that might entice readers to join. Gosh, I feel like we're unpacking so much here. Hopefully you're keeping up. Of course, we can't go into all of the detail. This is really just to get your thinking caps on in terms of all of this. There are links as well that we're going to share with you. Louise is going to share links as we go through this, so don't panic if some of this is not totally making sense in terms of a lot of the phrases and the words we use. There will be links where you can kind of drill down into this on your own or with your colleagues as well. But this is just to give you an overall idea of what we're talking about to get those thinking caps firmly in place. So selecting the right value added benefits essential to a successful reader revenue model. And then we have this list here. We've provided you with a couple of the ideas that we may look at when we're talking about providing subscribers or members with that exclusive access or those value added benefits. So events held by the news organization, that's very popular. I've been along to those. We've been required to do those. So going along, showing up, putting a face on the organization. So these are roundtable discussions with journalists. You may invite political figures, you may invite personalities to join you, but these are, face-to-face events that really put a face to the product. A chat or a text with journalists or newsroom editors. There's nothing like that to get people engaged, so they feel like they're talking to the person who's writing the article. Of course, we've got to all be in agreement about that. We don't want to be throwing journalists in front of an angry public, for example. But this increasingly used in news organizations and places where I've worked. Actually, I failed to mention at the very beginning, I'm a journalist, media consultant. So I've worked in many organizations where, we're starting to do this. So we're wanting to add these benefits for the public. We can have an ad-free experience on the website, just one of the other examples. You can see the full list there. Some of these are going to speak to you more than others. Discounts on the print edition of newspapers, the ability to comment on articles and other content, training or educational material included with articles, so if people want to dig down deeper. Also, visiting newsrooms. I know that quite a few organizations now, they organize visits to the newsrooms, and these can be paying as well. So people pay to come and see how you work. Maybe you can have a journalist or somebody well-known who shows people around. Early access to content. So people pay to have that exclusive access to something as soon as it's published. And then we also talk there, you can see there about newsletters, for example, perhaps people taking part in the editorial process, a voting system, surveys and what have you. And then you can see the end of the list there. Often your members are going to want to reach out to your organization to feel they're a part of an authentic relationship. So really branding merchandise comes into that as well. Maybe also partnerships when it comes to the providing of goods and services. So I spent time on that because a lot of those ideas are great. Do jot some of those down. You will find a list of those also in some of the links that we provide as well, but very useful there as well. So completing your reader's journey, and we do talk about this as being a journey for the reader. So as it makes this connection with your organization via the website, then they're taking part in a journey with you. So having built up an audience, engaging with it, building a strategy for converting them into paying readers who will stay with you, so retaining them, this retention rate. So that's the crucial crux of it all here. So optimizing your user funnel across audience growth, engagement, conversion, and retention is what we talk about. So we've previously spoken about the importance of metrics, growing, engaging your audience. Let's just focus on some of those metrics. So monthly active users, very important there. The monthly active user growth rate. So those are just the metrics there for looking at the growth of your audience. Make sure that you're growing and not just staying stagnant. Engaging with your audience. So as you can see there, the list some of the key metrics there, average visits per user. right down to the percentage of known readers. So you can see there, very interesting list, the newsletter opt-in rate, all of these insights, valuable insights, part of the gathering of data that lots of organizations are now having to look at. Also, when we're talking about converting your readers, so making sure that they sign up, contributions and subscriptions, we talk about the penetration rate, so how far are you getting into what people are looking for. The reader revenue, ARPU, which is the average revenue per user, just in case you're not familiar with that acronym. Subscriptions specific, we also talk about the meter stop rate, paid stop conversion rates, the pay flow efficiency, a lot of those terms. If you don't know about those, we can't go into all of them in this 45-minute session, but these are some of the terms you're going to want to jot down and have on the wall in front of you when you're holding meetings about all of this. So just, jot down those terms and maybe do a search on the web to drill down into some of those. And then, of course, retaining the audience. And here we talk about the very famous churn rate. I like to ask people what their definition of the churn rate is. Some people think that it's actually the rate at which you get through the content, but no, it's actually the churn rate. It's really about the people who don't continue to stay as a subscriber. So it's really it's the drop off. It's people who are not staying with you. So it's very important to know that, how you're keeping people with your organization. So let's just take a look at a case study, because this is always very important when we do these lessons, just to really see how other people are doing things. So this is the information. This is a niche tech media business, a digital publication set up by a former Wall Street Journal reporter, over 4,000 subscribers, paying an eye-watering $399 per year. How do we get people to sign up and pay that amount? So this is a great case study. Look online, do a search on this, the information, because there are articles about this really explaining in detail. 4,000 subscribers, as we say there, and as you can see, $1.6 million in gross annual revenue. And then you can see the quote there from somebody from the information. People thought no one would pay for news, especially tech news. The problem was the news business hadn't been focused on one key question: how do I deliver a differentiated product that people would pay for? So Jessica Lesson there from this site. And that was a very crucial question. People, and we've seen this with quite a few publications now around the world, people are willing to pay for this if they think it's great, if they think it's very relevant to them. Another case study, Dagens Nyheter, the Swedish daily, almost had no digital subscribers in 2015, like many organizations. 4 years later, as you can see there, the paper reaching a couple of milestones. So 165,000 digital subscribers, 163,000 print subscribers, higher than it had been at any point since the early 2000s. So revenue from digital subscriptions. And according to DigiDay, the newspaper converting about 2,000 subscribers a week. So obviously getting something right there. Also, Tortoise, many of you might have heard of this. This is the Slow News initiative, which was launched by James Harding, former editor of The Times, head of BBC News. So offering this slow news approach where people take the time to read articles, to dig down into the issues of the day. This was another membership model, raising money on Kickstarter, encouraging creative input from their paying members as well. So the figure, as you can see there, close to £540,000 on Kickstarter, absolutely amazing. And this is a members model, this scenario. So it's the ability of members to not just have access, but also to inform content key to this financial model. So really this big connection with the membership, people sharing your values, saying, yes, we want to have slow news. Forget about breaking news. Everything is too fast. We want to dig down, get our teeth into things. Another case study. This is a classic example. This case study, Wikipedia, an example of donations offering a level of flexibility for both you and your reader. But it has to be pointed out, as we say there, You do have to be relatively aggressive with this kind of model, and many of us may have seen this when we're using Wikipedia. We have these messages calling for donations. But according to the 2016-17 fundraising report, Wikipedia raising $91 million US dollars from 6.1 million different donations. So another example of some eye-watering results there. Another resource that could be useful for you, and hopefully Louise will put a link for this into the forum or into the chat. Another resource is the News Revenue Hub, and this is helping members implement fundraising models. So exploring all of the different options that could be available, automating the often time-consuming processes. You can carry out experiments as well. There's a look there at best practices and a whole lot more. So that could be useful for you as well. So that's fundjournalism.org, which hopefully Louise will put into the chat. But do make a note of that. Could be very useful as well. Well, here's a question for you, just to wake you up. I know there's a lot to take in here, but you know, one of the big questions: are you still unsure about which reader revenue is going to be right for you? And when you look at all of those options available, you start to think, yeah, hang on a minute, there's a bit of this and a bit of that. So maybe we can, you know, drill down a bit more into all of this. One of the things we talk about, and obviously this is a Google training program, so we're going to focus on some of the tools available with Google. This is the GNI Reader Revenue Playbook. And the purpose here is to provide news organizations right across the world with this guide that they can use to build, to optimize their reader revenue, so memberships, subscriptions when it comes to their business. Also, very important, getting insights from running the GNI Reader Revenue interactive exercises. So the playbook there, very important. As I say, these exercises, workshops, informed actually, drawing on the experience, the insights from more than 50 publishers around the world. So really it's this collective expertise, these trusted partners helping put this together with the Google News initiative. So that could be very useful as well. Louise will be able to put that into the chat as well. Our second topic, paywall options. Yes, we talk a lot about paywalls now, don't we? Going to have to race through some of this. I was just keeping an eye on the clock as well. There's so much to unpack. Top level types of paywall for protecting subscriber-only content. So, of course, the hard paywall, only authorizing access to online content on payment. Then we have the metered paywalls, of course, allowing the audience to consume a certain number of articles, so free content, before they have to subscribe. I'm sure we've all experienced that. Well, I have as well. I always hit the roof. And then, you know, I've actually signed up and decided to pay as well. And then we have the hybrid paywall, so allowing audiences to access some verticals for free. Other sections may sit behind a metered or a hard paywall as well, so the hybrid option as well. And there are other types of paywalls as well, some of which are subscription free. You'll recognize some of those there, these including pay-as-you-go, geolocation, surveys as well, and even the traditional most common form of paywall of including print. So pay-as-you-go, micropayment systems, enabling readers to consume content one story at a time. Geolocation, of course, you hit the paywall at different points, so it depends on your IP address. And also the survey. If you complete a pop-up questionnaire or a survey, you'll get access to the content. And then a very common paywall at many newspapers, many magazines, if you subscribe to the paper, especially the more expensive ones, Sunday editions, for example, then full digital access will be thrown in for free if you sign up for the print. So just some of the options. Let's just take a look at some case studies. It's probably easy just to look at examples of this. So the pay-as-you-go paywall, this is Blendel. This is a journalism startup in the Netherlands, and they have been referred to as the iTunes of news. So people are really just paying as they go. So that's just one of the models. Partnerships. It has partnerships, I should say, with all of the leading Dutch publishers. and audiences really only paying for what they read. So many people seeing that as a good example for the future. Geolocation paywall, BBC, a good example of that. I'm in France actually, and often I'm not allowed to see a lot of the content on BBC sites. So this paywall gets thrown up. It's showing ads on its website when a reader's outside of the UK, hiding certain iPlayer content from international audiences. So this could be a beneficial approach, enabling local audiences to engage more with your content, and that in turn could attract a more focused group of advertisers as well. That could be the aim. Just another example here, the surveys paywall. So this is Hitched magazine, online publication for couples. So many visitors come to Hitched directly from search engines, and so they're going to have to fill in a survey. And this could actually, for example, be tied in with the Google surveys, Google opinion rewards as well. Hitched monetizing content through ads through Google opinion rewards. So that's another idea there as well. Also, the Financial Times having print and digital paywall, very common as we said before. And so this is really the print. You're signing up for the print and they throw in the digital as well. And you can see there on the screen, this is proving popular for lots of news organizations as well. 3 areas of possible investment for you in the future. So the all-important tech setup when you want to have a paywall show. So if you want to buy or to build your tech stack, for small publishers, even medium-sized, this could be relatively easy with lots of off-the-shelf examples available. But for larger publishers, it's going to be more complex, perhaps, with technology moving so fast. So the 3 areas you're going to want to invest in: people, processes, technology, as you can see there. And as we say, the biggest differential for publishers most likely is going to be around investment in the technology required. So whether you're going to have in-house experts, build it yourself, or as we say, take one of these off-the-shelf products that can help you with this. A case study as well, looking at this. This is Subscribe with Google being used by the Miami Herald, setting up a subscription paywall without having to invest in custom infrastructure. So just one example there of where somebody's using an off-the-shelf platform. So Subscribe with Google. This is a platform that enables customers to use their Google account, already those payment methods already in place, to subscribe across the web, also helping users stay logged in, retain access to the premium content and what have you, and encountering that content on Google products. So just one example there. Also, dropping paywalls, that's an interesting option. And, we can consider wielding this power to drop the paywall, so to bring those gates down, even just for a short period of time. Special promotions, for example, on the Financial Times, one example there, dropped its paywall just for 24 hours on the eve of the Brexit vote. And really, the aim here and what happened was this really led to a spike in traffic. So an increase of 600%, as we can see there, in digital subscriptions the following weekend. So can be very useful if you want to look at dropping your paywall as well. So the future of paywalls is dynamic, we like to say, where instead of a predefined set of rules, you're going to have this dynamic paywall changing those rules based on data, and showing calls to action that are most relevant to the audience, as you can see there. So a good example of this was the Slovakian newspaper Denik N. They actually developed their own machine learning component for its open source platform known as REMP, assessing the probability of a site visitor becoming a paid subscriber. So actually building their own dynamic platform for this, really to get those insights, to get the data. So that's very interesting as well. And that's a question for you. Have you considered this data-driven approach to your paywall? hopefully, and if you haven't, then what we just talked about over the last 20 minutes or so is really going to get you thinking more about that. And that's the aim of this lesson, isn't it? So let's just go back and talk about REMP, R-E-M-P at Denic N. They actually released this software to be used for free. So that's something worth keeping in mind as part of the Google News Initiative funding scheme. So remembering this is the open source platform they developed. Anyone can use it. It's totally free. This is a common technological framework, they like to call it, helping ease the adoption of getting into data-driven processes and paywalls. There are some third-party companies who specifically provide their services, software for the media industry, but that, often that can be very expensive for a small media organization, perhaps someone like yourself, even medium-sized. But this is the currently one of the big exceptions to the rule there. So the third topic, I see we have about 10 minutes left. We've got a lot to squeeze in here, so I'm going to go through at a bit of a pace, but don't forget that you can ask questions of Louise in the chat. Also, we have a round table to also reflect more on some of these points, but we just go into this third topic because it is very important for me, the importance of communicating the why. So we've seen there with a lot of those models, we really have to make sure that we're communicating to the audience why they actually want to come to our website. Why would they want to trust us, to engage with us? So only a tiny number of your readers are going to spontaneously visit your subscription pages. On average, less than 1% of news publishers' traffic visits subscription pages. Marketing messages crucial to improve subscription packages awareness. And the second point here, no one ever became a member of a journalism site offering news that feels like a commodity. That's a very famous quote. You may have heard that. So really the importance of driving traffic to your subscription pages really can't be overstated. A case study here, Positive News, a print and online magazine that's earning the bulk of its revenue through subscriptions. Those numbers rising 21% each year. And so the case study here really to stress the importance of converting readers into subscribers by presenting and communicating the why factor. Why do we exist? What are we offering? Lee Enterprises, so this is a major provider of local news, information advertising in the US, 41 daily newspapers. By surveying readers, in fact, redesigning their value proposition, they were able to communicate their why more effectively. And as you can see there, the results also eye-watering. So a good example there as well. Just quickly take a look at 4 areas to focus on for this. So customization, the emotional bond, we'll just drill down into that in just a moment. Formats, also the content, the look and the feel. So just quickly, customization, what are we talking about? The one-size-fits-all approach really risks excluding some visitors who might otherwise be interested. So as you can see there, different offers to different readers. And so understanding what each audience responds to by doing this A/B testing the different approaches, personalizing those benefits that you're offering the readers according to the results of those experiments. Secondly, the emotional bond we talk about, thinking really about ways to highlight publication values that resonate with your reader. So we talk a lot about this in storytelling as well. It's really emotions first. So not the facts, but the emotions. So subscribing to news, we say, shouldn't be transactional. Your most engaged readers have developed this emotional bond with your publication. We've seen that with a publication like The Guardian, for example, in the UK. Many people talk about this when it comes to this engagement. People are going to pay for it because they feel this emotional bond also with The Guardian in the UK. So it's thinking about ways to highlight your values, resonating with the audience, and then communicating those values. Not just limited to the words you're going to use, but it also comes down to the visuals to make sure that visually what people are looking at, that's going to resonate with them emotionally as well. West France, here's a case study. They leveraged the emotional bond, gaining 12,000 subscribers. Very important to them. They offered free gift subscriptions for relatives. So becoming part of the family, that's one way of getting this emotional bond going. So rewards for loyal readers, subscribers. The events we talked about, face-to-face meetings with people, very important as well. And thirdly, the formats. This is when and where you should have a call to action button on your website. So just looking at the structure of things, your layout, putting the call to action button in a sticky header, for example, leveraging anchor inline banners on your article pages. Overlays perform well, but should be triggered with caution. So just some of the points to consider there. So focusing on inline for desktop, the anchored formats for mobile as well. So the formats, just to quickly get you thinking about that. And the fourth thing there, we talked about the content, the look and the feel, the color, the position and the words can all contribute to this call to action that you're wanting readers to click on. Interesting, we talk about yellow. It's been suggested that yellow, the color of confidence and optimism. Think about the colors. What kind of colors are you wanting to use, the formats, the fonts? What kind of ambiance are you wanting to get across to the readers? Very important when people think about signing up. Getting through this at a quick pace. Number 5, offsite marketing campaigns. We talked about 4 options, and in fact, here's a 5th one as well. More and more news publishers deciding to use paid media for their promotion. So you're a media organization, but think about using another media organization also to help you with those campaigns, those promotions. We've seen this a lot also as people search for these reader revenue models. Quite a few organizations taking out adverts in other media. Here's a case study, The Telegraph, its first major offsite brand campaign for 10 years. Maybe you've seen this. Words are powerful, choose them well. We've seen there, we had one there, Martin Luther King, the dream word, first man on the moon, leap, Muhammad Ali's float. So just some of those words. Another case study, Newsday there, this cross-platform campaign right across different media, increasing the awareness of the paper's local, its investigative journalism. So just letting people know what's going on through other media as well. Another example there, Peterborough Matters launching a social media and search ad campaign to gain readers before using newsletters to optimize for success. So just another option there. 135.6 thousand unique visitors per month. So the question for you, are you successfully communicating your why? If you are, great, and keep that going. And if you haven't, if you're not communicating your why, then hopefully we've got you thinking as well. So just quickly before we come to the end of our session, just some of the actions you can take to learn what your audience responds to, staying fresh, as we say with this continuous A/B testing, the experimenting, trying to measure the performance of your marketing messages. There's this product called a news tagging guide. So A/B testing, also the news tagging guide, making sure that you're measuring the performance of your marketing messages. That's one of the products there that you could think about using. Just to summarize, we have a couple of minutes left. We had so much to unpack to get our teeth into. Do stay around for our next lesson because we dig down deeper, and also for the round table, which is coming up later in the morning. Do stay for that. Looking at the reader revenue options, also the paywall we talked about, and then all more important for me, communicating your why. So making sure it's not just the data, it's not just the technology, but also just asking that question about whether we're communicating, whether we're putting the human face on things to our audience. At this point, we would normally see if there are any questions from this session. We have a couple of minutes. I don't know if anybody had any questions. Let me just check the form here with Louise just to see, and no questions. So I must have been absolutely on the ball, on the button. I do feel like we raced through that a little bit. I do like to spend more time on those case studies, for example, because it's really interesting. But, hopefully you jotted down some of those examples. Do a web search. Have a look at what other people are doing. Put in the name of the organizations there that we talked about. Maybe Louise put those into the forum, into the chat as well. It's always good to just find out what other people have been doing. Very useful indeed. Just a quick bird's eye view. So don't forget that coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we have our next lesson, which is alternative income streams. So this is obviously following on from what we just talked about. So hopefully you can stay for that. There's time to go and get a coffee or a cup of tea, but do come back if you can and join us for alternative income streams. And this fits into our overall suite of lessons on this. And also we want to say that you can continue your journey with us. So as I say, so in 15 minutes, we have the next lesson. In about an hour and 15 minutes, we actually have a roundtable with myself and Louise to drill down more into this. We also have lab sessions, more training available via the GNI Digital Growth Labs. And also we wanted to point out, and Louise can put this into the chat as well as we come to the end of the session, feedback, very important for us. What's important to you? What have we missed out? What can be explained more? This is how we can evolve and improve our support to you. That's the end of our session. 45 minutes. It went so fast, didn't it? We had so much fun, so much to talk about. Hopefully your thinking caps are firmly in place. Keep that conversation going. I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we do look forward to seeing you again soon, maybe even in about 15 minutes or so for our next lesson. Thanks very much, and see you soon, hopefully.